Well guys, we got a Game 7. The first NBA Finals Game 7 since 2016, and we all know what happened there, one of the most iconic moments that will live on forever in basketball history. All we can hope is that we get something similar in a couple of days here. The anticipation is building, the stakes couldn't be higher, and both teams know that everything they've worked for this season comes down to one game. Game 7s in the finals are rare, precious moments in sports. They're the kind of games that define careers, create legends, and give us memories that last a lifetime. The pressure is immense, the margin for error is non-existent, and every possession matters. Players who have dreamed of this moment their entire lives will step onto that court knowing that 48 minutes will determine whether they're champions or whether they go home with nothing but heartbreak. This is what sports is all about, the ultimate test of will, skill, and determination when everything is on the line. What did you think the Pacers were going to do? Did you think they weren't going to have another hellbent effort? Of course they came out swinging. T.J. McConnell was battling with heart on every single possession, diving on the ground for loose balls like his life depended on it. And Rick Carlisle, that mastermind, came up with new defensive schemes that caught OKC completely off guard. They turned down some of the full-court pressure for the sake of more aggressive defensive moments in the half-court. The strategy was brilliant. Instead of expending energy picking up full court, they saved it for when it mattered most. They sprinkled in even more doubles on Shea, overwhelming him at every turn. The physicality was ramped up to another level, and you could see it working immediately. They finally got some breaks in this one, and man, the energy was infectious. Every steal, every deflection, every contested shot was met with roars from the crowd. This wasn't just basketball anymore. This was war, and the Pacers came prepared for battle. The defensive intensity set the tone for everything else that followed. At the time of me recording this, early in the fourth quarter, SGA had 8 turnovers and only 2 assists. Yeah, he had 21 points, but so what? That stat line doesn't tell the whole story. He did not have a good game at all. The Pacers' defensive game plan was working to perfection, and you could see the frustration building with every possession. Only 4 made threes for OKC tells you everything you need to know about how disrupted their offense was. When your superstar point guard, the guy who's supposed to orchestrate everything, is turning the ball over 4 times more than he's assisting on baskets, you're in serious trouble. The Pacers weren't just defending him, they were suffocating him. Every time SGA tried to create, there were multiple bodies converging on him. Every time he looked to make a play, the Pacers had an answer. This wasn't just good defense. This was elite, coordinated, systematic pressure that broke down one of the league's best defensive players. You could see him pressing, trying to do too much, and that's exactly what Indiana wanted. When your best player is out of rhythm, everything else falls apart. The execution was beautiful to watch if you're a basketball purist. Nesmith coming over to double SGA when he had Nembhard in the post, that's textbook help defense. TJ coming over to double him when he's going one-on-one with Nembhard, perfect timing and communication. And Miles Turner, who felt like he was having more success playing high up on screens in this one, forcing the ball out of SGA's hands consistently. Multiple bodies, multiple guys reaching in on SGA as he's trying to exploit the switch with Ben Shepherd. Even when he did get Shepherd on the switch, Shepherd was holding up well at the rim, not giving him easy looks. This was coordinated team defense at its finest, 5 guys working as one unit with one common goal. So many plays where they covered incredible ground defensively. One play that stood out was when they had 2 guys pressuring the ball on SGA, then Nesmith helping hard off J-Dub to get the ball out of the superstar's hands, and then somehow getting back to J-Dub in time to force OKC to reset. That's championship-level defense right there, the kind that wins titles. This was another game where OKC's offense looked totally out of sorts. Besides SGA and J-Dub making some incredibly tough shots, the kind that aren't sustainable over 48 minutes, they couldn't get anything going. Their offensive flow was completely disrupted, and you could see the ripple effects throughout their entire system. Another game where their 3-point rate was pretty low, around 20 attempts. Now, that can be impacted by the pace of the game if it's slower. But here's the telling part. The Pacers got way more threes up than they did. When the home team is getting better looks from deep than the visitors, that's a problem. That means the defense is dictating terms, forcing tough 2s instead of allowing rhythm 3s. Very early on, SGA was having some success with guard screens to get favorable switches, getting Halliburton on him or TJ on him. But as the game progressed, the Pacers upped the pressure. They adapted, they adjusted, and they started playing like complete madmen. Every screen was met with resistance. Every switch was contested, and every possession became a battle. That's playoff basketball at its finest, constant adjustments and counter-adjustments. It also doesn't hurt when Chet is missing wide-open dunks, the kind of shots that should be automatic at this level. Those are the plays that can completely shift momentum in a game this important. When your big man can't convert the easiest looks in basketball, it's a sign that the pressure is getting to everyone. And then there was that pass. I think it was Isaiah Joe who made that pass that Halliburton stole, which became the Siakam dunk in transition. The place went absolutely crazy. Those are the moments that Game 7s are made of: one mistake, one great defensive play, one thunderous dunk, and suddenly the entire complexion of the game changes. These little moments, these seemingly insignificant plays, they add up in games like this. A missed dunk here, a stolen pass there, a transition bucket that gets the crowd on their feet. This is what separates champions from everyone else. The ability to execute when it matters most, to avoid the costly mistakes, and to capitalize when the other team gives you an opportunity. Basketball at this level isn't just about talent, it's about composure, focus, and making the right play at the right time. Halliburton was able to cook enough with whatever the status of his calf was. The box score numbers might not look crazy, but if you watched the game, you saw something special. Here's a guy playing through obvious discomfort, probably not at 100%, but still finding ways to impact winning. That's what separates great players from good players, the ability to contribute even when you're not at your best. OKC wasn't able to kill him on defense besides a couple of possessions early on, and that's huge for Indiana. When your floor general can hold his own defensively and still create offense, even while dealing with injury concerns, that's championship-level toughness. You could see him being strategic about when to be aggressive and when to pick his spots. The leadership he showed was just as important as any statistical contribution. In moments when the team needed someone to steady the ship, he was there. When they needed a big play, he found a way to make it happen. That's what playoff basketball is all about, finding ways to contribute even when everything isn't perfect. His performance was a masterclass in playing through adversity and still finding ways to help your team win. TJ McConnell, this guy just takes players one-on-one and attacks them in a straight line. No fancy moves, no complicated plays, just pure aggression and hustle. He was going at guys like it was a street fight, and it was working. Kenny Hustle going at defenders in straight lines. Nesmith hitting massive transition threes, making backdoor cuts when Siakam was taking somebody off the dribble. Nembhard was hitting big threes, Obi was knocking down shots when they needed them most. This is what championship teams do. Everyone contributes, everyone has a role, and everyone executes when their number is called. It's not just about the superstars, it's about the entire roster buying in and making plays. These are the guys who don't get the headlines, who don't get the max contracts, but who show up when it matters most. They understand their roles, they execute their assignments, and they make the plays that don't show up in the highlight reels but absolutely show up on the scoreboard. In Game 7s, it's often these unsung heroes who make the difference between winning and losing. They embrace the pressure, they rise to the occasion, and they remind us why basketball is the ultimate team sport. As we go into this Game 7, think about all the storylines of this series. I'm going to miss some as I go through this, but the narratives are incredible. Halliburton as a scorer. What's it going to look like from game to game? How often will the Pacers find Siakam when he's got smaller guys switched onto him? Even when they can find him in those situations, how easy will the entry pass be? How much help is coming? Nothing's going to be easy with OKC. They're too well coached, too talented, too prepared. Can Chet score consistently going at Miles Turner? There was a play in this last game where he was trying to drive at Turner, and you like the aggressiveness, but Turner's just sometimes too big for him. Will Turner make the threes that the Thunder sometimes have to concede to him? And then there's the constant chess match of SGA handling the doubles. How often are they happening? Is he going to try for the switch that won them the game 2 games ago? We also saw more of Siakam on J-Dub in this game. It's not as easy for J-Dub to bully Siakam the way he can other guys. These matchups, these adjustments, these strategic decisions. They're going to determine who cuts down the nets. Mathurin played 8 minutes in this game. Do you have any idea what to expect from him in a Game 7 on the road in the NBA Finals? Because I certainly don't. That's the beauty and terror of Game 7. Anything can happen, anyone can be the hero or the GOAT. Somebody is going to have a very bad Game 7. It could be somebody missing 9 threes when they're left wide open. It could be one of the big-name players just reenacting their ugliest moments from the series. Some role player is going to make 5 threes. I have no idea which side it's going to be, and that's what makes this so compelling. Look, I don't want to have unrealistic expectations, but we all know that feeling from watching the last Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Those last 4 minutes, it's on YouTube, but you can't recapture the feeling of what it was like when it was live. We could be in store for that magic again. We could also be in store for a blowout that's on the table too. But there's a very real chance that we are just a couple of days away from something iconic happening. This is going to feel like the longest couple of days ever. I look forward to it very much. Unless some massive trade happens between now and then, I'll see you all on the other side. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's exactly why we watch.